This is the Louie T Network.
Man, I love some football. Man, I love some football. My favorite week is week 1, cause I'm watching football. First comes the preseason, now I don't take a day off. And then it gets even better when your team makes the playoffs. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing, that Super Bowl ring. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing, that Super Bowl ring. Yeah. We in the lab room.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I am your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Divisional round weekend in the National Football League. Time to break down the Sunday game. Sunday. Have already broken down the Saturday games and my thoughts on those games and who I thought would be victorious in those games. Need to get off to a fast start. Looking to do so with the wins on Saturday. Here comes the Sunday games, and there's some intriguing matchups, to say the least. Both intriguing for different reasons. To me, again, the Cowboys will be playing in one of the best games in the entire weekend, and that's where we start with our Sunday breakdown. We start in the NFC, 1:05 Eastern Standard Time on the Fox Network. Pits the number 2 seed in the NFC, Green Bay Packers, at home, taking on the number 3 seed, Dallas Cowboys, in arguably the best game of the weekend, the game that probably will provide the most fireworks. And you know what's funny to me? When I listen to people talk in the chit-chatter back and forth, whether it's the national media, whether it's just people, on YouTube going back and forth, or if it's you, the viewer, talking about who you think is going to win this game, I think the consensus here is that the Green Bay Packers are going to win this game. Some of that is out of spite and Cowboy hate, and some of that is just out of you think the Packers are a good team and the Cowboys aren't as good. Fine. Look, all of those reasons are valid reasons for their own particular reasons, okay? But if you ask the national media, I've talked about this going into the postseason, the Cowboys are the darlings. They're the hot team. They're the team you throw out there as the dark horse or the wild card, if you will, that can, some way find its way into the Super Bowl from the NFC, or could at least get to Seattle in the NFC Championship game if the Seahawks themselves find themselves in that championship game. So the Cowboys seem to be the prevailing thought in the national media. You come down to people like myself and the average Joe, the onlooker of the National Football League from afar, and we think there's no way Dallas goes into Green Bay and wins. But what I want everybody to remember, and I think everybody likes to forget this fact, and it's out of sight, out of mind. The last time we saw Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers was injured. And I think everybody has dismissed the fact that this guy hasn't had a full practice since the injury against the Lions to the calf. So he's not 100%. Now, head coach Mike McCarthy said that in the limited practice that Aaron Rodgers did participate in on Thursday for the first time since re-aggravating the calf injury, He looked great, but again, it was just positional drills. It wasn't full practice. It wasn't him going through the full gamut. It was just them allowing him to do whatever they felt like he could go out and do. And they said he looked good in those, drills, and that he did well and he moved and the mobility. And that to me is the most important part, because again, if you take away Aaron Rodgers' ability to maneuver in the pocket and create when nothing is there, you take away half of what makes him the best quarterback in all of the National Football League. So he needs the ability to be able to escape the pocket and when things break down, make something out of nothing with his legs. If he can't do that, then you take away a big part of what makes him the quarterback that he is. So I want you to remember that Aaron Rodgers is not 100% healthy, and keep in mind that anything and everything could happen in this game. He could go down midway through the second quarter and not come back in this game. What happens then? I mean, there are so many possibilities. You've just got to go off the assumption that he's going to be able to go and that he's going to come out and give his team the best chance to win. I'm a little nervous about Aaron Rodgers and that injury. I am in the majority. I think that if he's healthy, they're the better team. They should win this game, but you just don't know. And somebody's O, just like they say in boxing, somebody's O must go. Somebody's O gotta go in this game. Packers are 8-0 at Lambeau this season, and they've been borderline dominant at home. Meanwhile, the Cowboys are just disrespecting folks in their own crib. A perfect 8-0 on the road, the only team in the entire National Football League to accomplish that feat. It's one thing to go perfect 8-0 at home throughout the regular season. A lot of teams did that this year. Green Bay did that this year. You had Denver did it this year. You had New England do it this year. Look, it's not that, uncommon of a feat to go undefeated at home. Teams do it all the time. If you're a dominant football team and you have a dominant home field advantage, you put the two together, it usually is a recipe for success for teams in this league. But what is uncommon is to go on the road 8 times in any given season and win all 8 times. I don't give a damn who the competition is. I don't care if it's the St. Louis Rams. I don't care if it's the Tennessee Titans. I don't care if it's the Washington Redskins. I don't care if it's the New York Giants. It doesn't matter, okay? The road is still the road, and it is hard in this league to beat anybody on the road, but that's what the Cowboys, in fact, did this season. Now, really, technically, they had 7 road games. I don't count London as a road game because it's a neutral site. However, technically speaking, it was the Jacksonville Jaguars home game, so the Cowboys get credit for it, but it doesn't matter. 7 wins, 8 wins, it's all the same. They have not lost on the road all season. Somebody's O has to go. Something has to give in this game, and I'm here to tell you, I don't know what will give, but I will say this much. If the Cowboys play anything like they played last week against Detroit, they will not win this game. Now, I will also say this. The Cowboys don't have to worry about facing the #1 rush defense in the league. They don't have to worry about facing one of the best defenses in the league, period, like they did a week ago against Detroit. This Green Bay Packers defense is solid. They're not great. They've been finding their stride of late. They've been better as a football team, but they're still not where they want to be defensively. The Cowboys can't take advantage of them. Teams have taken advantage of this Green Bay Packers defense this season, and so the Cowboys come in probably extremely confident in their abilities to go out, move the line of scrimmage, give their running backs, including DeMarco Murray, space to run and roam, give Tony Romo time to deliver the football, and they expect to be able to go into Green Bay and win. I look at it from the Packers' perspective. This is not a good Cowboys defense, okay? This is the same defense that gave up 14 points in that first quarter to Detroit a week ago. And if they give up 14 points to Green Bay right off the bat, I can tell you the Green Bay Packers will not be satisfied with just scoring 20 points in the game and having the game stop at 20. The Packers will score 35. The Packers will score 38 if the Cowboys surrender 14 first quarter points. It will not be a pretty game. So if the Packers go out and execute offensively if Aaron Rodgers is right, and if they don't forget about the run game, which is what they do sometimes. If Eddie Lacy is fed the football, I think they can run on the Cowboys. I think they can have some success in the play-action fake game. They're going to have opportunities to get the football to their receivers in Nelson and Cobb and Devontae Adams, and even Richard Rodgers, their tight end, a rookie out of Cal, will get opportunities. They'll have opportunities to spread the football around if they have the time for Aaron Rodgers and he doesn't have to run around. And I think this line can do enough because the Cowboys don't have an elite pass rusher. I think he'll have enough time to do what it is he needs to do. They just have to go out and execute. To me, the better team is the Green Bay Packers. To me, they're at home. They haven't lost there all season. Everything says that they have the best opportunity to win this game. How healthy is Aaron Rodgers is what it all boils down to for me. I'm going to go with my gut on this one. My gut tells me that Aaron Rodgers will be good enough to get the job done, and that somewhere in this game, I think we're going to get one of those Romo moments where you just say, really, what kind of a throw and decision was that under some duress? I could easily see that happening. I give Romo credit. Last week, when the Lions early in that game were just absolutely obliterating him, he could have made a boneheaded mistake. He could have done something that could have totally altered the outcome of that game, but he didn't. He took the sacks. If it wasn't there, he ate it. And so now the question becomes, can he do that again if the Packers are able to summons some pressure? Is he able to make sure that he doesn't do anything that is going to hinder his team's ability to win this game? We will see. The question is, can the Cowboys defense do enough to affect Aaron Rodgers and make him uncomfortable, being that he has a bad wheel? And can the Green Bay Packers defense stand up and make sure that this doesn't turn into a shootout? Honestly, you don't want this. Neither team wants this to be a shootout, even though the Packers are more equipped to deal with the shootout. Cowboys can score with the best of them. We've seen them score points this season. When they get going, they can score in bunches. You don't want to turn this into a shootout. Neither team really wants to. If you're Dallas, you want to keep the score as low as possible. The way to do that, keep Aaron Rodgers off the field by running the football and controlling the clock and winning time of possession like you did all season long. If you're Green Bay, you'd love to try to get this Cowboys team out of rhythm like Detroit did in that first half. Have them go 3 and out, maybe force a turnover or two, and give the ball back to Aaron Rodgers and that offense as many times as possible to allow them to try to put points up on the scoreboard. I see this being a very entertaining affair with Green Bay outlasting the Dallas Cowboys in a 30-24 victory. I think the Cowboys will hang around. I don't know if the score will be indicative of how this game was played, because I think that the Packers will actually be out in front and the Cowboys will make it interesting late but not be able to do enough to win. Give me Green Bay over Dallas 30-24. In this game. You go to the afternoon finish to divisional round weekend, and we find ourselves in the Mile High City for an AFC matchup between the 2-seed Denver Broncos and the 4-seed Indianapolis Colts. You know the media loves to eat up, and this game will be featured on the CBS network at 4:40 Eastern Standard Time. You know, the media loves to eat up the Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning dynamic. And, it was the passing of the torch in Indy as one legend leaves and presumably the new legend comes in Andrew Luck. And so, there always will be some synchronicity there. There'll always be those two linked to one another. And the legacy that Peyton hopes to leave is one that sees him winning another Super Bowl. And in order for him to do that this season, he's going to have to go through his old mates and the young prodigy that is Andrew Luck. This kid is phenomenal. He's special. And to me, I look at this game, and correct me if I'm wrong, I look at this game and I think this is the one game all weekend that everybody looks at and they just say, oh yeah, Denver's winning that game. Like, this is the one game nobody's really given a lot of thought to, because And I understand why. Don't get me wrong. I get it. I totally get it. Indy doesn't get pressure on the quarterback, which to me is the one thing that could really impact the outcome of this game, is because Peyton Manning, we don't know if he's 100% healthy. they've been kind of hiding that all season. Oh, he's fine. Peyton will deflect. Oh, I'm fine. Yeah. But there may be something more there, but you got to get pressure on them to find out. And their offensive line has not been great. We've seen this offensive line taken advantage of. We saw it in the St. Louis game. We saw it in the Cincinnati game. We've seen pass protection break down for Peyton Manning. And in those games, they've been losses. So you know exactly what you got to do to beat the Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning at the helm. The problem is I don't have any confidence in the Colts being able to do that. Now, you also ask yourself, well, what else is something that you see as a weakness for the Colts in this game? It's the fact that Andrew Luck will turn the football over. Last week, he was clean. You know why he was clean? Because the pocket was clean. It was crystal clear. There was no Cincinnati Bengals in sight. Cincinnati Bengals, lowest sack total in the league. So, hey, there you go right there. He had time to step up in the pocket. And when the pocket did break down, he was able to use his legs to get out and make something happen, or use his legs to extend the play and throw 39-yard beautiful touchdown passes like he did last week. So it's a totally different animal this week. You got Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware chasing you from both sides. You've got a situation where I don't know if your right tackle, Gosher Charles, is going to be back. I believe he's done for the year. If not, either way, Joe Reeks is probably going to be at right tackle. That's a mismatch that either Ware or Von Miller can take advantage of on any given snap. So you don't feel really good about that. You look at the Colts and you say, all right, so if Andrew's going to turn it over, if Andrew's not going to be the same Andrew that we saw last week, over 70% completion percentage, no interceptions, no turnovers, and really he had another 4 or 5 drops. T.Y. Hilton probably had about 3 or 4 drops in that game. Kobe Fleener had a drop in the game. He could have easily threw for 80, 85% last week if guys would have just caught the football when he threw it to him. That's not going to be the case. One of the better defensive secondaries he'll see all season long in Denver. They've been off for a week, so they've had time to rest and prepare for this team. I just think that we've all just come to the conclusion that Denver is going to win this game. But I throw this little nugget at you. I throw this little caveat. Denver hasn't been Denver since what, week 9 or so? I mean, when's the last time you looked at Denver and said, okay, that's the team that can beat New England? We haven't seen that team in a very long time now. They destroyed Oakland in week 17. What's new? But what I'm saying is they still lack efficiency in the red zone from a passing standpoint. When they score in the red zone, it's usually on the legs of C.J. Anderson. When's the last time we've seen Peyton Manning just have a really good day throwing the football in the red zone? When's the last time that we've seen them totally healthy with Juice and Welker and those guys? Because to me, those are your real threats in the red zone. Look, double A Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders can get you down there, okay? They have no problems beating secondary, but when the field shrinks and all eyes are on those two guys, that's when you need Wes Welker to step up. That's when you need Juice to step up and make plays in the red zone. This team hasn't been doing it. They've been kicking a lot of field goals of late. And so I'm anxious to see if this team can get back on track because, look, this whole 29-16, 22-10, that's cute. That's cute. That's not who this team is, though. You need to ring it up. I'm talking about fill her up. Fill up the scoreboard. Score 38 on this Colts defense because it's there to be had. If you want 38, Andrew's going to turn it over at least twice in this game. If you get opportunities, fill it up. This team has kicked a lot of field goals this year. I mean, Connor Barth came into Denver, and I'm expecting him to be relatively fresh because I said, hey, they're not going to use this guy. They've been using the hell out of Connor Barth. There's been games where he's had to kick 4, 5 field goals. It's not what I'm used to seeing out of a Peyton Manning-led offensive attack. Wrap it up. No, seriously, turn it up. And so I'm looking for that in this game. I expect Denver to win, just like the rest of you do. I expect Denver to win this game, but it would not surprise me in the least if this game is more competitive than we all have let on. Because, again, I'm not sold on Denver in the red zone. The Broncos can move it 20-20 where they've had problems is when teams say you're not running it in. CJ Anderson isn't getting in on the ground. You're not going to be at the 2 or the 3. You're going to be more at the 7, at the 9. Now you got to throw it in. They've struggled to get the football in the end zone via the pass in the red zone. And they're going to have to be able to do that consistently the rest of the postseason if they're going to win and get to the Super Bowl again. So that's what I want to see from them in this game. I don't think the Colts have enough defensive firepower, even though I like their secondary. I love their corners. They don't get enough pressure. And to me, that's the name of the game. When you're playing against elite quarterbacks, the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Bradys, the Aaron Rodgers and those guys, pressure is paramount. We talk about pressure all the time. Yeah, pressure, it destroys the average quarterback. It slows down the elite ones. If you can't get pressure, you don't stand a chance. And I just don't see the Colts having enough pressure on Peyton Manning in this game to affect the outcome. Give me, and I want to see them light it up. Give me the Denver Broncos over the Colts 33-24 in this one, as the Colts are eliminated from postseason contention again, and the Denver Broncos move on to the AFC Championship game. We all get what we were expecting. New England Patriots hosting the Denver Broncos in the AFC Championship. That's the way I see it unfolding. You tell me how you see it unfolding. I thank you for joining me here on the program. What happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all in the lab room. And so, come back and join me as we'll break down each and every single one of these games. I'll be looking forward to your comments, and I'll be responding to all of the comments you've been leaving me over the last week or so. So look forward to that and look forward to some of your conversation as we enjoy the last full slate of games in the National Football League. See you in about a day or two. Enjoy the football.